This video is brought to you by Walls of Engines, because in the future, more. Welcome, fellow Novians. My name is Rob, and we're here for another tutorial series, and this time we're going to be talking about voxels. I do not really know much about voxelmancy, so we're generally just going to be talking about voxel manipulation and how you can use the tools to get some kind of unique shapes with just the in-game tools without having to understand what all of this is. Like, what is this? It is called a reactor, but what is it? How do you use it? How is it used in building? I have no idea. But if you go ahead and search on YouTube for Voxelmancy, you'll find plenty of tutorials. Some of them have put me to sleep or gone way above my head. So I just prefer to kind of use the normal tools to build all of my ships and buildings. And you can still get some pretty unique shapes, right? So let's talk about some cool things you can do. So let's start off by using the regular tools here. And again, if you haven't watched the video before this one on how to use the building tools and what each of these building tools are used for, I would say go ahead and watch that, and I'll go ahead and put a link right here in the video for you to jump over to that. So if you see me do something that you don't understand exactly why that happened, it's probably because I covered it in the previous video, and I don't have the time to really go back into depth on that stuff again. So we're going to talk about the circle first. So as I said in my previous video, if it's yellow, it's a no-no, so you want to get it to blue. Nice blue color right here. So what can we do with the circle tool that could be used for unique shapes? Well, we can go ahead and drop this right here. And let's go ahead and select the same area. We're going to shrink this down by like 2 voxels. If you try to shrink it by only 1, you'll see what happens. We get that. So we need enough voxel space left in there for it to actually hollow out the circle. So let's go ahead and scroll down again. Cut there. Nope, not enough. So we need about 3 spaces. So let's zoom back up. 1, 2, 3. Cut out. There we go. Now we have a circle shape. As you get wider, you can kind of cut out better. But let's go ahead and make this as wide as this platform down here. We'll go ahead and paste that. And then 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and cut that out. Okay. So this has made a voxel, a circle that we've now cut out the center of. And it is 2 voxels deep. So you see we have 2 voxels deep there. Well, what can we do with that? Well, we can copy that. So we'll go ahead and copy the top layer only. And copy that. We can go ahead and paste that on top. And if we kept going, we could make a silo or a larger circle shape, right? And you could do things like just select the middle section. Select the middle section here, and maybe we'll use the replace voxel tool. Come over here, come over here, come over here. Just get all of the voxels here. Maybe come on, you can do it. Maybe change that to translucent glass, and we have this kind of cool effect we have going on here. Well, what else can we do with that? Let's cut this back down to normal. You can actually select, let's say, half of it, right? So let's just grab this here on the top layer to over here, and then to over here, right? Control C. And now we have half a circle. So if I go over here and rotate it, let's say we rotate it like that, right? Now I have this half circle that maybe I could put on top of here. I could paste it there. So now we have this design, or I could rotate it again. Yep, paste it there. And now we have like this interlocking thing going on here, which looks kind of cool, right? So there's definitely plenty of stuff you can do. I could take half the circle if I wanted to and use that as like half to do anything I wanted to. I could cut out things. So let's take like this half right here. We can Control Z to cut that out. Or sorry, Control X. And let's say like I wanted this to go over here. Yeah, we've got kind of interesting things going on. So I could go ahead and play with this all day and just make interesting shapes and see where I could use them. You could also use the half circle to make like the front of a ship if you layered it. Maybe use the smoothing tool. Like the front half could be the half of a cockpit or something else like that. So another issue we get is you can see down here it kind of deformed along with the floor. Well, one of the ways you can fix deformations is to copy and paste the same voxel pattern over on top of it. So if we select all this and we Control C, right? Now you can say we could also do like we could do this and make like a Olympics type thing, right? So if we put this on top of the section that was deformed, so we're just gonna line this up kind of, where are we? Right there. So if I come over here, I hold Shift and I hit Enter, it's gonna push that back out and fix it. So now we have this fixed circle because I just changed the paste priority, and that's a bunch of complicated stuff, priority and pasting and all that jazz, and I can kind of show you how that works real quick, not in terms of why it works, just kind of how it works. So let's use this Voxel tool, right? We're gonna go ahead and create, well, we don't want to use that because I won't be able to see, it'll blind me. Let's go ahead and create a voxel here. And we're going to use the shrink tool, or the smooth voxel tool, sorry. And make sure it's opened all the way up. Click on the square, and it makes it small. So the way normally it works when you put down a voxel is the previous voxel will get pulled to the new voxel. So if I put this down, this voxel here basically pulled to this voxel. So you can see if I copy just this voxel here, we still have one single voxel. So it's still a single voxel, it's just being stretched. If I copy over here, we get the stretched part. So this voxel, so I had that backwards. This voxel is actually pulling this voxel towards it. So this voxel is distorting the voxel over here. As you can see, we've copied it out, and now you can see it's there. So you get that action. Similarly, if I go ahead and I grab that single voxel again, and I move it over here, you see it still pulls this voxel to the new voxel. Now, if I put a voxel here, it's going to pull both of them, and you get a rectangle or square, just a flat square. Same thing if I put a voxel up here, it's going to pull all of those up to here. So we get this pattern, and that is voxel priority. It'll always pull the voxels around towards it. So we get interesting different things going on that if you play with this enough, you can kind of get some cool effects going on. And so let's go ahead and use a wedge tool. Put this voxel here down, right? And then we'll go ahead and put this voxel down. Well, you're going to see that when I put this down, it's going to pull the voxel next to it into it. Like that. So this voxel pulled all of the stuff on this side to the top two vertices up here. Well, watch what happens if I paste this. So I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it down here. We get a completely different action. Because now it changed the priority. Now we're not using voxel priority, we're using paste priority. And paste priority is reversed from voxel priority. So this side is pulling the one I just placed towards it. Now, you can go back to voxel priority by holding shift and clicking, and that just did the same thing that was happening before, right? So if you're having issues with getting a certain shape and it's just not cooperating with you, you can try pasting into voxel priority, into paste priority instead of voxel priority. So you can create the shape, copy it, and then put it onto where you're trying to get. Now, similarly, we can see this different priority with some stairs. So I'm just going to delete all this out. There we go. Now, let's say I was making some stairs. So we'll go ahead and put this down. We can get one this way, right? And then we can copy this whole thing and step it up. Same thing, step it up. Step it up. So now we have this kind of stair look, right? Just basic square stepping of the stairs. Well, what if I wanted this to be kind of more of a, let's cut out this middle section, right? Let's say I wanted this to be more of a flat edge stair instead of a hard edge stair. So we use the wedge tool. Watch what happens. It just pulled all of the voxels from underneath it up to it. Well, we don't want that. So you can do two things here. Watch what happens if I do the same thing. We're gonna put down that tool. Right. Go ahead and copy that. Come on. Be cooperative. All right, we're going to paste that in there. Whoops, went backwards. There we go. Now it pulled the other direction. So now we're connected with the top there, and we can kind of get like a flowing, different kind of stair. Now, if you wanted just the flat edge stair, what you can do is start at the bottom and work your way to the top, because that will cancel out certain things. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to place one here. And now watch what happens if I go upwards from this point. Look at that. Nothing got pulled. Because what happened is, when I put this one down, it pulled this square and this square, instead of trying to pull this center vertices up to here, it pulled this vertices and this vertices right there. So that one and that one, because there was already something in this space and it wasn't empty. So it filled in the space under here, but it didn't pull it completely up like it did on the top when we tried that. So that's how you get around that kind of issue. Sometimes you just have to start at the very bottom one and work your way up. Sometimes you just have to paste an entire line. So if we go ahead and, let's say, paste all of these, right? Put all this down. Do the same thing over here. Put all these down. And then let's say we put this here. And we put this here. Well, now we have this space right here. What are we going to do about that? We could put a cube here, and it would do weird things. We could try some of the other tools. Maybe let's see what happens there. Nope, still weird things. What about this one? Nope. Still weird things. But now we have this point here, which I think, nope. If you get this big blue square when you try to copy, it's because that's an empty voxel and it doesn't actually exist. So you'll get that kind of happening. So this is where the Voxel library comes in handy. If we go over to this wall over here, you'll see we'll have a bunch of different kinds of shapes. And we can take a look and see that maybe this shape would be the best. So let's go ahead and copy that. So now we have a copy of it. And we're going to go ahead back over here and stick it in there. And voila, you now have a filled in center section. Well, when I want to show you something, it doesn't happen, of course, but it happens to me all the time when I'm building. You might get some issues in here where these will like bubble up like that. You'll get especially when you're working behind something or you're creating another pattern or you're copy pasting, sometimes you'll get some issues with the voxels. So what you can do is just select all these with the copy tool, delete them, and try to put in the correct shape again. If it wants to cooperate with me like this, right? And that fixes it. But if that doesn't work, what you need to do is select a section. So we'll select this 4x4 section. We're going to copy. We're going to move it on top of it. And if I hit Shift and Enter, it just fixed all of that wonkiness that we created. So that is how I build. If I see problems, I usually will try to see if paste priority will fix the problem. If that doesn't work, I'll try to paste a section on top of it to correct any wonkiness and move on from there. Something else you can do with the tools is create kind of, let me show you this. So let's say I want to create a kind of curve out to connect two sections. That's what's good with this triangle tool here, right? So we'll size this up, kind of rotate it a little bit. There we go. We want this corner, right? So now we've got this corner right here. We can paste that on. And if we wanted to immediately go this way, we could go back to using the wedge tool. Whoop! It just pulled the bottom out. So what do I do there? Well, that's where we can go back to using that wall over there that I showed you, pull out the piece, stick it back in where you caused the issue. Alternatively, you can use more voxels. So if I scroll this up and I paste it here, we don't get that issue. So you see it now did not delete that little voxel there. It uses more voxels overall because you're now 3 thick instead of 1. And it will use more material, but it fixed that issue. And what happens if you want to keep going out with this? Well, if we use the tool again, so we're going to go back to this triangle tool. We'll get the same issue pattern right here. Oh, we're going to scroll it down there. All right, if we overlap like this, it connects to itself. And you can keep going. And if we can get that, there we go. Let's get the triangle again. I'm going to move it up a little bit. All right. And we can keep going up until we get what we're looking for. And it takes a little bit of finagling and moving it around, but there we go. And that top piece pulled over, we can simply just select that, delete it. Maybe put another wedge there. Nope, don't want to do that. So you can see right there, it caused an issue when I deleted that and knocked an area there. We can just go back to the triangle tool. Kind of get it into that position. It really doesn't want to, but we can use the arrow keys to kind of get it where we want. Hit enter. Oh, that did not work. Nope, not working. So we would probably have to copy that and paste it back into itself to kind of fix the issue. It's just all about problem solving and figuring out which method will work to fix what you're trying to do. It might even be that we just need to overlap in a different fashion. So let me get the pyramid shape. Maybe if I try this way, come on. Nope. Maybe if I try up here. Yep, that fixed it. Another thing you can do is just use the cutting tool and figure out different things you can do with it. So like if we create this rectangle, we can scroll it down, maybe cut that section out. You know, I got like a thing going on here. Maybe we can try using the circle tool, right? Let me go over here, scroll this up. That looks weird, but interesting, right? And just play with it. Figure out what works, what doesn't work. You can cut a wedge in this. If we use the wedge pattern, we hold Alt, we can kind of use the rotate key to move this around. So let's cut this out. And we just created a wedge out of a square. Woohoo! Or if we have a wedge, let's say we make a big wedge here, right? I can use this wedge. We're gonna make it smaller. Let's rotate it so it's in the right. There we go. And with this, the first time I click, let's actually scale this up a bit. It's going to give me control over the other vertices. So I clicked once. And it wants to go that way, which could be interesting. No, not really. Not really. But let's go ahead and drag this over and cut. And now we've got kind of a 45-degree wall angle here, right? And we could cut parts of that out to make maybe support pillars or something like that. If we wanted to, we could cut out the center. So if we can get this in the right orientation, I can see it better from the side, right? I do not enjoy the rotate tool sometimes. It just kind of does what it wants every so often. There we go. So let's get that in there and kind of cut that out. And we got like a little door pocket there. We could go ahead and just cut out the center maybe. And now we have something completely different, right? We could stick some voxels in there, make a glow behind it, anything we want. But that's just interesting uses of the cut tool. Yeah. Let's see what happens if I use the circle tool here. Just like so. Nah, not really a fan of that one. But there's uses for everything. Let's cut that out. I just like cutting things. It's fun. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you liked this video, go ahead and drop a like. If you want to keep receiving notifications about future tutorial updates, go ahead and subscribe and click on that notification button so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you out there in space. Stay safe.